welcome back to my channel. Today is February 15th, 2022, aka Crescent City House of Sky and Breath release date. And so I'm going to do a reading vlog for this. This is my most highly anticipated read of this year. I thought it'd be really fun to kind of do a little reading vlog and then share my spoiler thoughts and non-spoiler thoughts at the beginning. Obviously that'll be in reverse. There'll be non-spoiler first and then spoiler, but anyway, I hope you guys like to stick around. Okay, so I have made it through the prologue finally. It took me like an hour to read. I was just wanting Bryson Hunt, but I'm finally starting part 1 and I will update with a non-spoiler update once I make it through part 1. I'm just trying to read, but this girl needs attention today. I think she's gonna read with me though. Are you gonna read with me? See? Alright, so I'm on page 136. I haven't made a lot of progress today because I had a lot that actually kind of went on during the day. But I do have to say, I really like how in this series, I feel like Sarah's made it so that each book kind of follows a bit of a mystery that I'm really enjoying that because I think it really adds to like the vibes of the book. So I'm just saying, I am enjoying it a lot so far, and I like that there's a bit of a mystery involved as well. It's not just a love story. There's a mystery to be solved. Good morning. It's the next day. I made it to about 200, like page 200 in my read yesterday. I'm really enjoying it. I just feel like every time I really got into a groove with reading, something happened. So hopefully today I can make it further. If not, there's always tomorrow, and if I don't finish tomorrow, then I took Friday off, so I can just probably read most of Friday, even though I have things to do. But anyways, just that's my little update. I will come back with a more cohesive part 1 thoughts and feelings, first thoughts and feelings, once I finish. Hey there, I am here with a Crescent City update. I have finally finished part 1 and moved on to part 2. So I'm going to give my part 1 thoughts and feelings now. So I think it started off very well. I'm quite pleased with everything that's going on. It is very interesting. It's very entertaining, but I will say there's not enough spice yet. Sarah, you gave us a little bit of spice, but this is not enough. I need more. I'm ready for more, please. But yeah, I'm interested. I like that we have multiple point of view, like more point of views than we did in the previous book. There are some noticeable absences. I'm going to try to say as much as I can without giving any spoilers. But there are definitely some noticeable absences that I'm like, hello, where are you? Like, something's going on because you're not involved yet. But that's happening. Let's see what else. Yeah, I don't really know what else I have to say other than I am really enjoying it. And I'm excited to read more and possibly finish soon. I know I have friends who are like, Sam, you need to finish it right now so that I can talk to you about this. But, you know, it's just taking me a bit. I'm working and I'm also exhausted for literally no reason. I don't even know why I'm so tired, but I am. So it's taking me a bit to get through. But, yep. So thanks for listening to my little update. I don't really know why I said thank you because the video is not even over yet. But, yep. Hey, I am here for my update. I finished part 2. So, my thoughts so far, I still expected more spice. Still expected more spice for sure. I do like where it's going. There are still some characters that are missing and I'm like, where the fuck are they? And can I please see them? And there's still a lot of questions that I would like to have answered. So part 3 hopefully will wrap up all these questions, but you can like see kind of when she's planting seeds like Sarah likes to do, which is really cool. So yep, I will come back with further update once I read more. Actually, once I finish the book, I'll be back with my non-spoiler and then my spoiler review. So yeah. Okay, so I haven't finished yet. I know, I'm like terrible. It's day 4. I did a lot of reading this morning. I have about 100 pages left. But I had a lot of other things I had to do today. I took the day off to get it all done. And yeah, so I'm really close to finishing. I have like 100, maybe a little bit less left. But we have a super exciting package. And it is the book. Oh goodness, it's so... Holy, no, are you kidding me? Aw, man, I'm gonna have to like, of course, I was worried. Okay, I'm also terrified that, because I ordered the signed version, so I'm terrified that I'm gonna open this and it's not gonna be signed, so fingers crossed. Oh, it's so pretty. Ah, it is! It's signed! Oh, I am so, holy moly, I'm so happy. It's so pretty. Oh man, oh goodness. Doesn't even want to open. Ah, so excited. I'm so freaking excited. And I know today a lot of people who did bought the tickets for the tour version found out that they unfortunately will not be getting the tour version because they got destroyed in transit. But I didn't get that email. So I'm thinking that I'm going to be getting the tour version. If not, I mean, at least I'd be getting the first book signed, which would be nice. But yeah, so I'm so excited. So I finally finished. I have a lot of thoughts I have to process, and then I'll be doing my final non-spoiler and then spoiler kind of review tomorrow. But I just gotta say right now, like 5-star, 10 out of 10, like killer read. I cannot believe the twist. It's so good, and I'm a little mind blown right now, if I'm being honest. Hello, today is February 19th. It is a Saturday, and last night I finished Crescent City to House of Sky and Breath. And let me tell you, that ending was wild. So Now I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my non-spoiler and then my spoiler review. I'll make sure that it's noted on the screen which one it is, and then when I will let you know when I do make that switch. So if you haven't read it and you do not want to listen to spoilers, then you can go ahead and turn it off. But yeah, so let's go ahead and dive in with my non-spoiler review. So first and foremost, can we talk about this beauty? Because holy moly, she's a big one. And just, I have like so many things to say that I don't even know what I want to say. All right, so we'll start with some basics. SJM as a writer is fantastic. She is just a wonderful writer, in my opinion. Her stories, they always follow a full plot line. I think that her writing is wonderfully done. It's done in a way that's like, it doesn't feel like this book was an 800-page book and it didn't feel like an 800-page book. It felt like a 400-page book. And I thought that was just wonderful. Her writing is just very story-driven in the way that, you know, you can sit down and read and it feels like you can sit down for like half an hour and you're like, oh my God, I didn't even get that far. And then you look down and you're like, wow, I actually did, because it's just so well written. So House of Sky and Breath was no difference to any of her other ones in that aspect. I just thought it was just so well written. The story was well done. The twists were just, it was like dropping bombs left and right. Some of them I just did not see coming, and some of them somehow I like guessed, and I'm like kind of shocked that I was able to guess some of these twists because they were like, it wasn't too obvious. But anyways, yeah, one thing that I was a little bit like concerned about was there were some characters missing throughout the book, or they didn't come in until later on in the book, and I was just kind of like, I missed them. I will say I missed some of those characters who, you know, didn't really make appearances at first. It's interesting because it almost feels like some characters had larger roles in this book than they did in the last one, and other ones had smaller roles. But I kind of wish the ones that had smaller roles but larger roles in the first book had appeared more, because we already kind of developed a relationship and a like, we developed a preference for those characters already. We like are already invested in them and that kind of thing. And so I guess the last thing I really gonna say about the book in a non-spoiler way, because this book is just so good that it's hard not to talk about it in a non-spoiler way, because so much happened that you just want to talk about it all. But the spice level, I will say the first two parts of the book up until the very end of part 2 were not super spicy. Like they were spicy, but like I was like, okay, come on. I was told this book is a lot more spicy. Like, where's it coming? Like, where is it at? Let's go. We get to part 3 and it's just like the end of part 2 is when it starts, and then she just throws it in your face and you're just like, whoa, that's a lot of spice. And like, it was good. Like I wasn't mad about it. I actually wanted more spice. So killer. All right. In the end, I did give this like a 25 out of 5 stars. Realistically a 5 out of 5, but this is honestly probably going to be my best read of the year, my favorite read of the year. I don't really see how anything else could top it. Just into the spoiler reviews. So if you have not yet read or finished House of Sky and Breath, please do log off now, because I am going to be talking about spoilers. If you don't, you are then consenting yourself and saying that you are okay hearing spoilers. Alrighty, let's dive on in, and I'm gonna start at the beginning. I'm gonna start at the ending, because what the fuck, ACOTAR. I'm just like, I swear to God, I just started laughing. Like I texted my friend and I was like near the end when she first lands in Prithian from the gate or whatever, I texted my friend after, you know, the leather-winged hell beast, well, what she thought was a hell beast, appeared, and I was like, I swear to God, if she landed in Prithian, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then they started describing Amryn, and I was like, oh my God, she's in Prithian. And then Feyre walked in with her like tattooed arms, and I was like, oh my God, she's in Prithian. And I just started laughing. Because like, I still don't know how I feel about this. It's just like, oh my God, like, you know, people speculated, especially with the sword and the knife, and like the idea that they were like the same, like they're the swords that like, so the Star Sword is the sword that need to be reunited with the knife in order to reunite the Fae or whatever. And like, you know, people speculated. They speculated because she had Aelin fall through Prithian and Crescent City, and like, you know, like it was, I was like, oh my God, it'd be so cool if she did that. But like, no one, I feel like no one actually thought she was going to do that. We were all like, yeah, like it makes sense. Like it'd be so cool if like, you know, Az and Rune are like, or like Az and Hunt, I think it is. People were saying that they're actually related because no one knows anything about Az. And he has like the shadow, he's like a shadow singer. So they're like, oh, Az and Hunt who, oh wait, no, Az and Rune, because Rune is the shadow person. So I think that people were saying like, oh, it'd be cool if they were connected. Goddamn, like, I still just can't help but laugh. It's crazy. I'm like, I was like reading that. I was like, there's no way this is real. Like, there's no freaking way she's going to tie over ACOTAR into Crescent City this fully. But it makes sense now. I'm also going to talk about theories in this part because now I like, it's just so intense that I can't help but think about, like, talk about theories with this part. So it makes sense why she's focusing so heavily on Crescent City 3, and that's going to be the next release though, because it's going to be an ACOTAR crossover. So like, I don't know if maybe like ACOTAR, like Prithian's going to be maybe the first part of Crescent City 3. I feel like that could be a thing. And then maybe she'll make an ACOTAR novella around their experiences with Bryce in their world. I think that would be a really cool way of doing it, because I don't know if like, because if you think about how she's setting it up, the different sisters are going to be the focus of the book. So like they already did Nesta's book. She did Nesta's book. So Elaine's book is theoretically next in the lineup. So I don't know if maybe Bryce and Elaine connect. Who knows? But I just don't feel like she's going to do an ACOTAR book that is as fully immersive with Crescent City and Bryce as like the Crescent City book will be. So I think that, or almost like Crescent City 3 will be the connector between Silver Flame and Elaine's book, which like, I don't know. I'm speculating if any of that makes sense. Like, please let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. But I do think that if anything, she's going to write a novella from the actor character's point of view on everything that goes down in Crescent City 3 that happens in Prithian. That's my current theory. We'll see what happens. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, because holy moly, I'm like still reeling from it, because it's just like, I still don't know if I'm happy or not about it or not. Like I part of me is like, oh my God, this is so freaking cool. And then part of me is like, like, how is that going to affect the ACOTAR series? Like, are they going to wind up bringing all, because you know that Bryce isn't going to want to go live in Prithian, and like, you know, like they don't even speak the same language. The only language they have between each other is the old language of the Fae. And so, which only Rhys and Amren can speak. So like, I'm just like really curious how this is gonna go, and now I can't believe I have to wait an entire year to read more. Like, I kind of hope that she surprises us by releasing a novella, like an ACOTAR novella beforehand, but I know that's not gonna happen. We're gonna get Crescent City 3 next February, and we're just gonna have to wait for an entire year. Next, we're gonna talk about the relationships that developed in this book. Along the line of Spice, Bryce and Hunt, I'm so glad she didn't do what she normally does, where the first book love interest is only like a temporary love interest and not the like final person, because Bryce and Hunt are just like perfect. I will say I am like terrified currently of what's gonna happen in Crescent City 3 with Hunt being captured by the Asteri, because I can't imagine them, like, when they said goodbye, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this isn't really goodbye. It can't really be goodbye. Anyways, I'm really happy that she didn't pull that whole thing with Bryce and Hunt. Okay. Celestina and Hypaxia. So it's weird because like I feel like we left off the first book, House of Earth and Blood. We left it off almost where I feel like Rune and Hypaxia were developing a relationship. So like going into this, and then he hasn't spoken to Hypaxia, and like she wasn't in the first 2 parts of the book. So that like really threw me for a loop, because I was like, I feel like they were in a good place where it was like developing on this path in the first book. And then it just totally like 180'd, and Celestina and Hypaxia are together. And like, I love it. I'm really happy. Like, I think that that's like such a good like way to incorporate LGBTQ into the book series. And I think that like, I think it really does add another layer to the story. But I was just so like confused at first, because I was like, and then I like when she made the whole like, before you find out about Celestina and Hypaxia, and you know, she's like, Hypaxia is kind of focused on Therian, and you're like, what the fuck? Therian? Really? Like, I love Therian, he's great, but like Rune would just like, anyways. So that's an interesting one. I'm curious about Ethan's state, because it feels like he's gonna wind up mating with the Fendir Alpha, who is the alternative to Sabine, which I might as well dive into that now. I loved that little twist, because I think that Sabine is like a character that is just gonna cause so many issues if she isn't, like, there's no way that Sarah can put together a happy ending with Sabine in power, if that makes sense. So I love that there's an alternative to her that has been like I don't love that she was, you know, enslaved for however long she's been enslaved, but like, I love that there is an alternative to her. And I think it's really interesting if Ethan and her are going to be mates, because I feel like, you know, the Prime kind of said to him in a way, like, or everyone kind of like implied throughout the book that like he could be a great leader within like the wolf community, the Valbaran wolf community. So I'm excited. I think that's going to be really interesting. It kind of seems like Flynn and the dragon Ariadne, it kind of seems like she's like setting something up for that, but who knows? It could just be like with Hypaxia and Rune, where like where it seemed like something was being set up and it just kind of like fell to the wayside. I love that Declan is gay too. I kind of had like that feeling when I was reading the first book, but obviously it wasn't like confirmed in the first book. But I love that that was confirmed. I did like how there was so many more points of views in this one, and like you kind of got the entire like cast's point of view at some point. Like everyone kind of had their own point of view section, because I think that really kind of helped build the story, and it helped you kind of get an insight into every single aspect. So I figure I'll talk about Cormac and the whole Sophie thing. I totally will admit that, like, I even said at the beginning of this vlog, like the prologue just kind of like snooze fest for me. I was like, this is interesting, but like I want Bryce and Hunt. Like, this is what I'm here for. This is like, this whole like random chick is not what I'm here for. Well, obviously she was a very important character, Sophie. Part of me, like the entire time, was like, I really, 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 really hope she isn't dead. Just because I feel like Cormac, like, he was such an interesting character, I feel like, to include. And like the fact that he's now dead is just like kind of annoying. I mean, I get it. Like, he probably wouldn't really have a role in the next book, but like, and like, he doesn't, like, his true love is dead too, so I understand like his story kind of ended there. But I thought he was a very interesting character. You know, he was very you know, he was that epitome of like the prince who seemed like a cocky on the outside, but he was actually like for the rebellion, but he was like really intensely for the rebellion. And I thought it was very interesting how he helped push along the plot line of like this rebellion that's happening. I thought the political intrigue and the spy aspect of this just like made this book so interesting, and I loved it. Which kind of brings us on to the Asteri and that whole bomb that was dropped, that they're just parasites just living off of the first light and second light that's generated by the Fae, and that they or the Fae and the shifters and everyone, all the Veneer, that they literally like found this planet that was inhabited by humans and then brought in from all these different realms, like the different types of Veneer, and like set up the society that they're like parasitically living off of. I was like, I'm very interested to see like how this is gonna like roll and like how this is gonna happen, because I feel like it almost isn't gonna matter to like the people who can help them get it done. Like I feel like that's what's gonna happen, is like the people, because obviously Sandriel found out about it and she didn't care, or if she did care, like she didn't do anything about it. So well, obviously Sandriel was also a piece of shit, so whatever. But I really do think that like the people who can help them stop the Asteri and to like destroy their first light source, and so that they would die, I don't really think they're gonna care. So I think that's gonna be really interesting. But the fact that they just even like she just came up with that was just so crazy. I thought it was really like a really interesting plot point and a very interesting conclusion. Also, the fact that hell isn't actually bad, they've been trying to help the entire time, was very interesting. That they like almost, that they kicked the Asteri out, and then they were like, they followed them to this other land. It was like, bitches, you're not doing this to another like planet or like realm or whatever. Thought that was very like a very interesting plot twist, and I like it because it's like taking the villain and being like, ha, JK, you thought they were the bad guys all along? Well, guess what? So that's super interesting. I am curious where Adis was the entire time though, because obviously Regulus, the Bright Hand, was pretending to be Adis all the times that Adis appeared to them, like the 2 times that he appeared. So I'm very curious where he was this entire time, like what he was doing, like did he just like stop caring after the first book? But obviously he didn't, because in the epilogue, him and Jessica were like, is she the one? And obviously they're talking about, is she the one to like finally destroy the Asteri? Anyways, yeah, I'm like, where the heck was Adis this entire time? Therian. The fact that he freaking didn't think that through, and now he is addicted to the Viper Queen's venom and like is her freaking like one of her little followers. Oh my god. I'm like, what the heck? Like I understand like the she's probably the lesser of 2 evils when it comes to the like River Queen, but god damn it, now they have to like, they're gonna have to find a way to get Therian away from the Viper Queen in the next book, which is gonna add even more like, oh goodness, I don't know how she's gonna wrap. The 3rd book's probably gonna be like freaking 1,000 pages long, because I don't know how she's gonna wrap up all this stuff in even a book this chunky. Like even a book this chunky could not wrap up all of those plot points that she left dangling. Because the Bryces are going to have to get out of Prithian, and then they're going to get back to Midgard, and then it's going to be this whole thing of, then they have to defeat the Asteri, and then they have to like fix all these other things that are happening, and they have to defeat the Sabine. And then once they defeat the Asteri, is she going to spend time explaining how they like redevelop this world? I think that would be really interesting. I would love to hear, in not the next book, maybe like a novella or something, about how they like redevelop the world without the Asteri as they're like creating this social order of Asteri, Veneer, human. Like I'm very curious to see how they'd rebuild this world. So I think that'd be very interesting. Oh, I didn't even talk about one of the biggest things, Daybright. Oh my god. So the Hind is actually a freaking rebel. And the funny thing is, I kind of called it kind of early on, and I'm shocked myself that I was able to call that. So I think it was the first time I had that thought was when he said he recognized her scent. And I was like, okay, let's go through the list of people he's met recently whose scent, who would be like close to the Asteri, whose scent he recognized. And, you know, it was the Harpy, the Hind. I was like, okay, the Hind, that would be interesting. Could be Hypaxia. You know, like there was all, because we hadn't seen her at that point. So there was all these like theories. I was like, okay, but the Hind was on my mind. And then when it really kind of solidified, then it was like House of Sky and Breath is when he said, oh, you're part of that house. And he was like, haha, I got it. It was like, well, could be the Hind, because even though she's not part of that house, she is a Triari for that house. So like, that could have been a thing. And then with the whole abusive boyfriend, obviously Pollux is a piece of crap. So like he would be abusive towards her. So that's a whole thing. And then like, it's interesting because you saw with Baxian about how, oh God, I forgot about that whole thing. I was talking about Baxian and Danica. Anyway, so you saw with Baxian how like he looked, like how Pollux was like, oh, you're picking up like my seconds. Oh, you want like my girl or whatever, talking about the Hind, Lydia. But it was just obvious that Baxian was more worried about her because she looked like she was like unhappy. Like you would get those glimpses, I feel like, of the Hind where she just didn't seem like something seemed off with her. And so I think Baxian kind of knew that Pollux was a piece of crap. But okay, so that was another thing that kind of made me think. And then the final thing that like solidified it for me was when they were doing like the mission to, when they met up with Pippa, who is a piece of fucking garbage too. Fuck Pippa. I hate radicalists like that. I hate them in real life and I hate them in stories. Like they're the worst. Anyways, so when they were, when they destroyed the mech suits or whatever, and the Hind caught them, like went out on her little jet ski, dropped the thing in the ocean and was like, I dropped it for your friend. I did this for your friend, Sophie too. I was like, crap. And then like the fucking thing came and she just left them and she never said, I was like, oh my God, she called it with that stone, which is what happened with Sophie. They just happened to be too late with Sophie. So like she never intended for Sophie to die. She intended for the Ocean Court to get there in time to save Sophie, but obviously they just didn't. And she was doing it again with them by dropping that stone. And I was like, oh my God, the Hind she has to be Daybright. And it was just like, there's just all these things added up that made me like think that. Obviously, like I started second guessing myself though, because I was like, no way. Like no way is like this person is so good at like pretending to be so horrible. But I mean, obviously I called it. Okay, so her, and then the whole relationship with Rune, I'm kind of mad at Rune for being so like horrible to her once he found out that she was Daybright, because like he is sitting here like, I can be like the most open with you and like obviously like I like you, and like they had sex and all, like sex in the dreamscape or whatever. And then the second he finds out who it is, he's like, God, I hate you, like you're the worst, blah blah blah. And I get that, like he probably had to wrap his head around it, and I understand that. But like this poor girl is like, that's her, she didn't want to tell him because she knew that's how he'd feel. And I don't know, whole thing. Baxian and Danica. I was like, something else came up that I wanted to talk about. That whole thing, I thought that was very interesting. I feel like we didn't get enough time with that. It was more used as a device plot point, but I'd like to know a little bit more, I think, about that. I don't know what more we could know about it, but I think that that's an interesting thing. I want to know why Danica kept all these secrets. That's what I want to know. I want to have like a flashback section where we have Danica's thoughts and feelings about like explaining why she's keeping all these secrets from everyone. And she's like building this whole thing, like all these theories and like situations, and like not telling anyone about them. And I want to know what her thought process around that was. So yeah. Okay. I have like rambled for a really long time about this, so I'm going to call this an end to the video. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any thoughts about my thoughts, if you want to discuss theories more, please drop something in the comments. You can also feel free to DM me on Instagram at Samantha Ray Reads. I am very interested in discussing theories. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this vlog. It was pretty fun to do. So I might do more of these with my other anticipated reads of the year. I don't think any of them are going to be extensive as this one, just because this book had so much in it. But yeah, thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.